Welcome to this series of videos all about tools. I'm going to take you through a whole bunch of different tools that you as an electrician are going to use and are going to need in your trade. Okay, another video on tools, more tools. In this video, I've got some random tools that we use as electricians quite often. Firstly, let's start with the obvious. This is a level, and we use levels for obvious reasons to keep things straight and level. We generally don't use large levels like this too often, but they are very handy to have. Especially if you've got to maybe mark out a conduit run on a wall or something and you want that conduit to look nice and straight, then this could help you out a little bit. More likely, you're going to use this little guy here. These levels are small, they sit in your tool bag and you use them all the time. If you're putting a switch on a wall or a GPO or a mounting block or something, you put this on and level it up before you finish it off. The difference between having a nice, straight, level, finished product is huge. You will get paid more money, you will be a better tradesman for literally 5 seconds worth of work of sticking the level on and adjusting it. Now this particular level also has a magnetic strip on it, so you can attach it to the side of metal objects, especially if you're putting up a metal board or something. Again, really, really handy. You will use this all the time. Other tools I have are this one here. This is called a caulking gun, and basically what it does is, I bring that out, I can take various different products like No More Gaps or Solastic, items that you'll use fairly often, and we can put it into there, and then this will just squeeze through any of the contents of the canister that you put in there. As electricians, we use Solastic quite a lot, especially outside, to really kind of just help with our waterproofing and directing water away from any item that we might be installing, because obviously water and electricity do not mix. So, caulking gun. This item I have here is what we call a conduit spring. They come in different sizes, and this is how we actually bend our conduit. We don't just grab conduit and bend it with our bare hands, it will snap. But if you put this in, it'll allow you to bend your conduit in any shape, way you wish. It's really important that when you do this, well, when you're using the conduit spring, you actually have a piece of wire, as I've got here, a piece of cable, passed through the center of the spring and attached down at the other end. And the reason you want that is because when you've done your bends, and if your conduit spring is like that inside the conduit, to get the conduit spring out again, you need to pull from here, and it needs to be pulling from this point. If it's pulling from the top, it's going to expand out the spring and ruin it. So we always have the wire running through the middle of the conduit spring. The other good thing about having the wire there is you can use the wire as a depth gauge, so you can figure out how far along your spring actually is, or how far along it needs to go, so that you can get the bend in the right spot, so you're not cutting off too much excess material and working unsustainably. On top of that, I have this. This is what we call a snake, or a conduit snake, and this basically is what we feed into a conduit run that's already been pre-installed, and maybe there's nothing inside there and we need to pull our cables through. We can run this through. We just feed it through. Now there are two types of conduit snake. There is this one here, which is metal, and then there's one I have hanging up over there, which is made out of fiberglass. The fiberglass ones, or plastic ones, obviously are better because they are, well, they're non-conductive, so less chance of you getting hurt or injured on the job. However, having said that, they don't go round corners so well, where the metal ones do, because you can wrap them up around your hand, tightens them up, and you can push them around corners that you might not be able to access. So realistically, this is the best conduit snake to have, but you would probably be only using this in a situation where you know there's definitely no live components that possibly could come into contact with your snake. If you're unsure, use the plastic one. And then lastly, I have this. This is literally, we call this a tongue, and that's what it is. It's a piece of plastic tongue from tongue and groove joints that go together for floorboarding. Now, you can go and buy this from Bunnings or whatever, but most electricians just pick it up off the job because they're working on a building site and the carpenters have installed a whole bunch of timber flooring or something, and these things are just lying around and they're going to get tossed in the bin anyway, so you grab hold of them. These are so good to have. Always make sure you cut and make a little bit of a point at one end and drill a hole through it so it makes it easier for you to attach cables, and try to keep them as neatly rounded as possible so they don't kink and break. This one's got a little bit of a kink in it. If they get kinks in them, it just makes it a little bit harder for pushing them through. You use this to get cable up and down wall cavities. You wouldn't use this in a conduit, it just wouldn't work. That's why we have the conduit snake. But wall cavities and roof cavities, this tool is so important. Again, it's one of those tools that you will use all the time, especially if you're working in the service industry of electrotechnology. So that's just a few random tools that you'll find you will be using in your trade. I'll see you next video.